Once more, NBCUniversal is capitalizing on its multi-platform advertising capabilities to expand the formats and capacities of TV ads. The company has just announced a slate of new ad types, and we're going to talk about how they work and what they enable today. I'm Michael Depp, editor of TVNewsCheck, and this is Talking TV, the podcast that brings you smart conversations about the business of broadcasting. Today, that conversation is with NBCUniversal CMO Josh Feldman and VP of Commercial Innovation, Collette Winn. We'll be right back to talk about what's new in the world of interactive advertising. Welcome, Josh Feldman and Collette Winn to Talking TV.
Hi, Michael. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here. Welcome back, I should say. So let's run through some of these new ad types and how they work. First, where are we talking about seeing these? Is this exclusively Peacock and your local station OTT apps, or are there some linear applications here?
Now, as we think about commercial innovation, we think about commercial innovation across our entire one platform. So we came up with the concept of commercial innovation probably about 5 years ago or so. And we were really thinking about the ways that, viewers were taking in our content so differently, right? There was, linear, digital, streaming, social, et cetera. And we also realized that a lot of our competitive set was not taking the same philosophy as our company, which was meaning they were going more towards non-ad supported ways of doing things. Here at NBCU, we've been very steadfast in wanting to keep all of our platforms ad-supported every step of the way. But we knew because of the viewing habits of our end consumers changing, we needed to make those commercial breaks, those ads, more innovative, more enjoyable. So the ultimate goal of commercial innovation is to make the commercial experience as enjoyable as the actual content experience itself. Right? Because we know here at NBCUniversal, the ad experience is the user experience at the end of the day. So we have now utilized a number of different contents, technology, formats, IPs to come up with new and authentic ways to amplify creative and help brands engage viewers. At the end of the day, the ultimate goal of commercial innovation is to A, make the commercial experience more enjoyable for the consumer, and B, make the ads themselves more effective for advertisers. And if you look at the research that we've done to support commercial innovation, you'll see that consumers are 88% more likely to remember the brands when they experience it in a commercial innovation ad format, and 79% less likely to change the channel. So we've kind of checked the box on what we're trying to accomplish here. And therefore, we've brought this philosophy out across the entire one platform. It's not just segregated to linear or digital or streaming.
Okay, so you've got a lot of different ad types, so we don't have time to talk about all of them, but I want to highlight some that I found very interesting reading about them. Let's start with Attention Lab. What is this?
Attention Lab is an incredible way to be able to look at blending the art and the science. So we look at branded content and we create branded content, knowing how we're programming to fans, but really making it impactful for brands. But now we're layering in where we can put eye tracking and go into field with our measurement team in lockstep to really see where there could be dips in attention and then fix them so that we can really edit them and put that into our environment with a known special sauce behind it that can really be able to lean into rigorous attention metrics so that we know that we've garnered the maximum amount of attention within our ecosystem.
So how does that eye tracking fit into it? You have certain TVs that are like certain people you're testing these on, then beta testing the ads?
We take the storyboards, we take the rough cuts, and we go into fields. We go in and have consumers put on the eye tracking to be able to see where does their attention fall and how can we change it. This works across all formats. So this could be long form content. This could be the 30-second, this could be the 15-second creative that we're creating for our brands, but leaning into the science behind where is that attention happening, where is that attention not happening, and how can we make quick fixes and edit that as a full service creative production team to be able to make maximum creative that really resonates with our fans. And it's a proven impact before it airs. So it's just a really cool way to think about it. And
I know eye tracking's been around for a while now, or probably the better part of a decade. Do you find that its efficacy really that it works, that it does help you tune and fine tune an ad in a way that has a demonstrable impact?
We really do. We really do. And it has been around for quite some time, but the way we're doing it and the way we're leveraging that decade worth of data that they've already proven that it can work is leaning into attention. When you start to dip with your eyes, your whole body, anything that you're doing as a consumer, you start to tune out. We're getting that in fields in advance, where we're capturing them and keeping that momentum with their eyes on the brand and having that brand message memorability resonate. We're able to do that again in field testing before it airs, which we find incredibly impactful for our brands.
Fascinating and terrifying in equal measures. What about retro ads? What is a retro ad?
Retro ad's fun. Retro ad is leaning into the nostalgia play. So we're any type of era, and there's a 90s throwback happening, obviously. So it's leaning in to be able to create branded content that fits with the programming that you're watching. We just aired something for Wendy's within Annie Live. It was, done in that era, and it resonated with our clients. I mean, resonated with our fans, resonated with the client message across the board, because it had such a perfect contextual alignment to that thematic time period. So retro is about having a throwback, having that be meaningful with the content that it airs adjacent to.
Are there other examples besides the Annie where this is out in the wild already?
No, Annie's our big one that we launched with, and we're looking to do more, especially in our Peacock space and all of the incredible different types of era content that we have across the board.
I guess it's sort of limitless what you can do with that. I see that augmented reality is coming into this with AR Portal. So how?
So AR Portal is metaverse. We're leaning in, utilizing the QR code, looking at the mobile device for that experience. So let's take Top Chef as an example. Your AR portal into the kitchen, as if you're cooking alongside, and it's an avatar next to a chef testant. We bring brands authentically into that space. Our fans crave more, and we're bringing more in Web3 to be able to make it more interactive, more fun, and almost like they're there, that firsthand. It's not so much laid back viewing anymore. It's immersive and leaned in.
So is the metaverse itself kind of built out enough to even really enable this now?
We're looking at the metaverse from many different angles. One, where we're building it ground up, which is what we created with Bravo and our shoppable metaverse bazaar, where you're able to shop from the IP, Summer House, and be able to shop from all different areas within the Summer House IP. We look at partners that we can partner with, where they have a known distribution and platform where we can create experiences with them. We don't think about it as one-dimensional. We think about it as our IP, our talent. What is the right place to do it, to deploy it? Is it in our home, in our ecosystem? Is it with a partner? And then we build that out with our brand partners in lockstep.
Yeah, if I could just add on to that, I think it's just very important to realize that, we get a lot of requests about what we're doing in the metaverse from clients. And obviously, we're going to build out the right appropriate experiences in that space. But we're not thinking of the metaverse just as something that's flashy, I think, like a lot of our competitors are right now. We're looking at our IP and figuring out the right experiences that actually adds benefit to our end consumers, to our viewers at the end of the day. And we're going to play in it in a very specific way. And I think, the examples that Collette just gave are very additive and tied to really, really strong IP, whether it's Bravo to Top Chef, whatever it may be. There's a lot of really great ways that we can do it.
Yeah, it sounds like multiverse metaverses that you're actually working in there. So, wow, let's not get too Marvel on that. So QR codes come into play there. I see also in some other instances. So how do they work in picture expanded storytelling, for instance?
So picture-in-picture has been, we've been iterating, almost like the iPhone. We've been iterating on picture-in-picture over the years. And how can we layer in more interactivity? So as you're watching, let's say, the Latin Billboard Awards on Telemundo, you're watching that content, what's happening backstage, you're airing that picture-in-picture experience where content's happening, and then the brand creative is happening. we're layering in that QR code to drive even more interactivity. You scan the code and you're taken to either digital or social extended experience. So you're extending that content experience of the Latin Billboard Awards. Let's say it's in a Twitter watch party within the Telemundo handle, and you're bringing a brand along with you that's surrounding the content wherever that content is airing across all the platforms. And the QR code is the mechanism to take you there. It's portaling you there, and it's bringing you deeper into that conversation.
And how does it work in the shop drop?
Shop Drop is bringing a symphony of all of our commerce products together. So let's say it's metaverse shopping, like we talked about with the Bravo Virtual Bazaar. Let's say it's live stream, which is something that we just tested and are really doubling down on. It's pulling all the levers of what we can do across our entire ecosystem for commerce for a product launch and calling it the Shop Drop. So you can have the live stream, you have the metaverse, you also have something called Shopcast, where you can shop the entire commercial pod with our talent and bringing those launches of our clients, bringing those to life. Thinking about influencer marketing, where we lean into our talent and our talent handles, as well as our handles, to really surround a product launch.
So it sounds like a shop and awe campaign.
Yes.
Lastly, let's talk about sequential storytelling. What is that and how does that work?
So sequential storytelling is a really fun one. It's actually one that we rolled out at our 122 event a couple of weeks ago. And what it does, in essence, is it leverages a targeted audience segment that we would create and build with NBC Unified, which is our first-party data platform. So to put that in simpler terms, say you're a hotel chain and you want to reach really high, create a travel segment of people that travel a lot. We can then take that hotel chain's first-party data, mix it with our first-party data in a clean room, and then create a very specific travel segment of highly likely to travel in the next 12-month viewers. Then we can target ads that tells a story to them and takes them down the entire purchase funnel. So say that travel segment, somebody wakes up in the morning and is getting their news on today.com and checking out what is going on in the world. We could hit them with the first ad that shows them, what the hotel room looks like, and what the area around that hotel is like. Later on that afternoon, they're checking out some sports scores, and looking online to see what's going on during their lunch break. We could hit them with a second ad, which shows them all the restaurant options and the spa options of that same hotel to continue that story, knowing they've already been fed that first ad. And then say later that evening, they're binge watching, their favorite show on Peacock that night. We can hit them with a final ad, which could actually, it doesn't have to be, but it can be commerce enabled if we wanted it to be, so that we can then say, hey, do you want to book this hotel? Point your phone at this QR code, and we can bring them right into the actual experience to, book that hotel room that they've been fed those 3 separate but ongoing creative storyline ads. It could be ads that are made by the advertiser, or it could be custom content pieces that our creative partnership team can make for them to tell that story and bring them down that funnel. It could be done over the course of a day, over the course of a week, over the course of a month. We can figure out with the advertiser the right way to bring that specific segment that we would create for them down the funnel.
Wow. So they're just like, I guess the universe is telling me I'm going to Bermuda, and you break them down by the end of it. Yep. So there's a sort of set amount of creatives that you'll drop into that. You'll kind of have prescribed. It starts with this, and there are, say, 5 parts to it or 3 parts, and then it's
exactly
just how they're dispensed over.
We'll work with the advertiser, right? Because every category has a different story to tell, right? If you're in auto, do you want to start with what the exterior of the car looks like? Then the next ad talk about what the interior looks like. The third ad be about the new technology enhancements. And then the 4th ad be, where do you actually go to take a test drive, right? We can create it in any way that makes sense for that particular category.
These are all enormously sophisticated, enveloping, but will we see these spots iterating down to the local station level where they can execute this for a smaller advertiser rather than a national advertiser that we're typically talking about here?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm sorry. So, and then I think you could go into some more specifics, but from a holistic point of view with across NBC Universal, we create our commercial innovations based upon, what platform they're watching on, whether it's linear, whether it's digital, whether it's streaming, right? So you'll see different ad innovations per se for Peacock versus digital in some cases because of the platform they're watching it on. So we need to specify it for that. Local is incredibly important for us. Over the past year, we've been talking not just local, but global, right? We can literally talk in one specific market to an entire worldwide campaign when you look at all of our NBC and Telemundo O&Os that we represent, all the way through our international and Sky properties as well. So Collette, do you want to talk a little bit about how we bring these innovations to life specifically for local?
Yeah, when we look at local content, we look at when we're looking at it in show, we're looking at the data target segments for the localized area. So each one of these, as Josh said, is local to global of how we can accomplish it, but we do program it by what space that we're in. So if you're looking at the shop drop, we're able to pull all of those things into the local space. We can look at the right program that it would launch in. We can look at the right handles that it goes and deploys in, and really have that local filter to it. As content creators, we have content creators in our wheelhouse, in our family, that creates localized content, that creates global content and domestic content. So we are able to really surround that across the globe, which is incredible.
So we're not just talking about like Lexus doing one of these campaigns, but a Lexus dealership in a city could do this then. And it wouldn't be prohibitive, that they could find a price point into this that's more kind of commensurate to.
That's correct. We're open for all advertisers, right? Large and small. That's part of our user experience. That's what we do, whether it's a local advertiser to a programmatic advertiser to the biggest national advertisers. We're open for business everywhere, and we have the right offering for them across our one platform.
I'm curious, since you've been iterating these new ad types and they've been iterating locally, what are the largest categories of local advertisers that venture into this space? I mean, do you get attorneys or home improvement or, so pharmaceuticals are the bigger kind of local categories?
It's interesting. Alcohol has an incredible breadth and depth within local, because they really are looking at, which markets might be able to deliver it, which markets do they want to be in and be able to have a different type of messaging. Auto is an incredible category in the local space, the near market auto category. How are we looking at things and combining things for, actionable units, and how we can really lean into test drive that vehicle, and where is that geo-targeted place to be able to test drive it? What's that nearest location to where you're watching, and be able to lean in from that localized area. Any type of messaging that we can really layer in. Let's say there's a new, one of our latest partnerships that we just announced with GoPuff. They're opening a market in San Francisco. They'll have new messaging that they want to drive just to that San Francisco market, because they just developed an additive, last mile delivery service for that particular area. So it depends on what that client has just opened in that market and what we can really bring to life. But auto and alcohol, it actually transcends a number of categories, and we can really play into that and really bring that localized messaging in an impactful way.
Fascinating stuff. Thanks for sharing all this information on these really interesting innovations in advertising forms. But that's all the time we have for today. So my thanks to Josh Feldman and Collette Winn for joining me. Thanks both of you very much.
Thank you.
And thanks to all of you for watching. See you next time. A new episode of Talking TV is available most Fridays on TVNewsCheck.com. You can also listen and subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Spotify.